Whether you're on free hit game week 29 or not, this video is going to show you the sort of team you need to get to in 2 weeks' time. Welcome to the Gianni Batici YouTube show. Hope you guys are good and you're looking forward to game week 28. This is my game week 29 first draft of a free hit. Now, most of you watching won't be on free hit 29. Absolutely fine. You probably don't need to be. I personally am. It works for my team. So this is going to be my first draft, but also we'll go through the players you might want to target and what will that template in 29 look like for both free hit and non-free hit. Well, let's have a look, shall we? So in terms of a quick poll, by the way, it does seem like the vast majority are swerving the free hit. They don't need to. They'll be dead ending on wildcarding not long after 29. But the reason I'm doing it, it works for my team. I've got lots of players that are blanking. I like those players that are blanking. I don't want to sell Crystal Palace, Liverpool players. In terms of free hit 29, the reason it's not got a huge amount of love is when you look at the fixtures, there's not clear and obvious teams to back. So when I'm putting together my first draft, these are the teams I'll be targeting. Everton, West Ham feels like a bit of a question mark. Maybe an Everton defender. Forest attack versus Ipswich, sure. Man City attack versus Brighton. Wolves attack versus Southampton. They are the away team. Bournemouth, Brentford, bit of a lottery. Same with Arsenal, Chelsea. And then Fulham, Spurs. I'll probably go for a Spurs attacker. Same with Leicester versus Man United. Probably a Man United attacker. So there's enough to still interest me, which is why I'm very happy to do it. Guys, by the way, if you are enjoying the show, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for subbing recently. It's been awesome to get the support of so many. And if you've got a question, drop a comment and I'll get back to you as well. So look, when I look at these fixtures, I've gone through roughly what I want my starting 11 to look like. It's probably going to be 2 from Forest, 3 from City, a couple of Wolves players, maybe 1 from Brentford, possibly 1 from Bournemouth, maybe an Arsenal defender, and then Spurs and Man United attack, I'm going to back. Players like Bruno and Son, Maddison, they interest me for a 1-week punt. It does feel like I'm backing a lot of away players, but we must know in the Premier League this season, more than ever before, we've seen very little between home and away advantage. And in years gone by, that trend has been perhaps a little bit stronger, but we're seeing away teams putting up big numbers. Look at Salah's away form, for example. Okay, so what does my team look like? Shall we get to it? And this will change. This will change, but this is my first draft. So let's start with Man City, shall we? I look at the Man City Brighton fixture, and I know Brighton are good, but I also know they'll come and have a go. And if I fancy Man City, I've got to go big on them because very few will have double City. I can get to triple, and I do believe they, on their day, now they're focusing on the Premier League, they're out the Champions League, focusing on this Brighton game will be massive for them. It's a potential banana skin. Brighton will come and play, and I think that will create lots of Man City chances. So I definitely want double attack. Gvardiol often feels like an attacker as well. So Gvardiol, who's wide left, pretty nailed. It is worth noting, Man City play at 3 o'clock on the Saturday. The deadline is 1:30. We will probably get team leaks on Man City too. So that helps my case with City. If I hear De Bruyne is starting, for example, I'll probably punt De Bruyne in. At the moment, I've gone Foden. It feels a lottery between the two. It could even be neither. We saw neither start last time out. You could go for like a Marmoush in double attack, or you could go, Savio is getting a ton of game time. But at the moment, it's Gvardiol, Foden. This isn't really about the personnel. It's more about backing the team and the positions and the money in my team. So these are slots available for Man City players. It's the midfield one that's up for grabs. Haaland's a no-brainer. He'll very likely be my captain. I do think a lot of non-free hit teams will have Haaland and Haaland only for Man City. Maybe they won't be able to reach Haaland. They'll go for a Marmoush instead. But you'll see a Man City attacker, Marmoush or Haaland, probably being captained by a lot of teams. A lot of teams. Because when we look at captaincy, you probably look at it and go, well, we'll talk captaincy later, shall we? Okay, so after Man City, let's have a look when I'm building these sorts of teams, as always, you start with your premiums, right? And then you fit in the pieces outside of that. I do, especially for free hit, because I'm looking at ceiling. Who can reach me the braces? Who can reach me the hat tricks? My double Man City attack can both do that, and Gvardiol on his day can clock a double-digit return. Heung-min Son is another one. If I'm looking at the Spurs talisman, it's got to be Heung-min Son. Like Maddison interests me if I thought he was starting or nailed. But again, will we know about a Maddison start? No, we won't. Spurs play on day 2, right? They play on the Sunday. So we're not going to get team leaks for Spurs. Obviously, it's a game that's a bit of a 50-50, Fulham Spurs. But I just fancy Spurs to have a high ceiling. Like, and Son on his day can turn up. Like we saw them go to Ipswich recently, didn't we? Okay, easier fixture than going to Fulham, but they won 4-1. Sonny got an 8-pointer. We saw them go to Brentford recently. That's a similar comparison. They went to Brentford Spurs in game week 24 and won 2-0. Sonny got a 10-pointer. So Son is definitely of interest. He's only 4.8% owned. On his day, he can hit big numbers. The non-free hit teams will not own Heung-min Son. That's why I can get there. That's another reason what sells it to me. If I'm going to use a free hit and 29, I've got to differentiate myself from the field. I'm already using a different chip strategy. I need to pick some players that they won't be able to get to. You lot might not, you'll be looking at getting Haaland. Will you be looking at getting Son? No. And why would you? Outside of Sonny, there's another couple of midfield spots up for grabs in terms of premiums. And there's a lot of money in this team. Like this takes me to 0.0 team value. And Bruno is next in. Again, Man United, Leicester. I don't fancy Man United to go and score 4 or 5 goals, but I do fancy them to score a couple at Leicester. And Bruno is the main man. He's the guy I can back. I just hope he's playing front three. If I think he'll be in the front three positions, I'll back him in my team. If I don't, I could look elsewhere, like a Garnacho punt if money's tight. But I need to know he's starting. Again, team leaks, probably unlikely. In game week 29, Man United play on the Sunday. So we're just not going to get them. The deadline is, of course, Saturday at 1:30. Bruno really interests me, though, for a one-week punt. Like Leicester comes with a ceiling. I actually owned Bruno earlier in the season for that Leicester game. I think I'm right in saying he got about 15 points. It was huge. I remember watching it poolside in Miami. He got a 17-pointer. Game week 11 against Leicester. So, I'm absolutely here for it with Bruno Fernandes. Where else do you go? Well, we need to speak about both Wolves and Nottingham Forest because I said I wanted double Wolves and double Forest. So how does that fit in? Before we do, shout out to OneFootball. If you don't already have OneFootball on your phone, guys, scan that code. It's free. It lives on the home screen of my phone. I check the football news day and night, and OneFootball is the best for that. If you want to know team news, if you want to watch video clips of all the Premier League games, it's always on there, 2-3 minute highlight packages of every game. The stats are there, of course. And also for Champions League and for me, Serie A, it's a brilliant resource. I've set it to favourites with my favourite teams, my favourite leagues, and it's brilliant. It's the football app. Get it on your phone, link in the description, scan the QR code, take seconds. It's free. It's a no-brainer. Wolves, they've got the best fixture. Wolves, Southampton, but anyone with a Southampton or a Leicester fixture, Man United and Wolves, you've got to back them. So will I go double Man United or double Wolves or double both? At the moment, I fancy Wolves more than Man United, and they've got 2 unbelievable assets for FPL. Ait-Nouri, always high and wide. He has assist threat, he has goal threat, and I fancy him to keep a clean sheet, but you never quite know. Southampton can score at home. But Cunha, again, he will be in a ton of teams that are non-free hitters. So this is a little, I'm picking Cunha regardless, but you could view it as a bit of a shield pick because the non-free hitters will all have Haaland, they'll all have Cunha. I'll go through at the end of this video who I think the non-free hitters will have and how my free hit team will differentiate itself. But Cunha's unbelievable. We know he is. He's a massive overachiever of his XG. Doesn't matter. He's an elite finisher and he's the talisman at Wolves. He's on everything. He only needs one return. One return in a 2-2 draw. We saw it early in the season. It was a 2-2 draw. He got 1 assist. He still got 3 bonus in a 2-2 draw with 1 assist. That's how good Cunha is in terms of all those underlying numbers. So double Wolves, I'd be shocked if these 2 are not in my team. They feel pretty locked. Then we look at Nottingham Forest. They go to Ipswich. So again, we're targeting Leicester, we're targeting Southampton, and we're targeting Ipswich. Now, Forest are the best team that play a little team, but Forest never strike you as the most explosive away from home. Am I willing to triple up on Forest? Probably not. Am I willing to double? Absolutely. Now, Nico Williams is starting and he's like 4.4-ish million. He's proper cheap. He's a cheap route to the Forest defence. You can obviously spend 5-ish million and get your Milenkovic's, your Murillos, Einers, Sells in goal. But you can save 0.5, 0.6 and get to a Nico Williams for 1 week. Yeah, why not? Because he feels pretty nailed at the moment. He's first choice on the left instead of Moreno, who start the season. And then for the first time this season, Chris Wood will be in my team. How has that happened? How have I not owned Chris Wood this season? We talk about overachieving XG with Cunha. Well, Chris Wood takes it to a new level. He has scored with about 40% of his attempts this season. That is just unbelievable. No doubt he'll go to Portman Road and have an off day and miss loads of big chances, but he doesn't actually ever get many big chances. In a given game, he might get one big chance and he scores. Or he'll get two chances, neither big, and he'll still score. He doesn't need many chances this season. I just hope the ball drops his way against Ipswich, who again, against Forest, it will feel like a must-win game for Ipswich. As the weeks go on, you look at that relegation zone and you just think, Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich, they can't sit back and park the bus. Well, they can if they're going to play for a sort of tight draw and maybe hit them on the counter at the end of the game. But against teams that don't come and play great football, and look, Forest have been brilliant, but I think we all agree they're not the best footballing team. Ipswich will look at that fixture and go, we can actually dominate the ball. We can take this to them. Sure, if Man City or Liverpool are coming to Portman Road, they've got to be deep and park the bus and try and nick a draw late on or a goal on the counter-attack. But when it's a team like Forest, with no disrespect, because they've been amazing this season, I love Forest, teams like Ipswich at home will fancy 50% of possession at least, and they'll fancy dominating a lot of that play. And if they do and they take the game to Forest, well, we know Forest love to counter-attack. Chris Wood, come on. I need you for 1 week and 1 week only. Guys, by the way, it's a slightly different video. I will put together a chip strategy video, I think, on Monday. I want to do that off the back of the FA Cup draw. So, and then confirming both mine, but other chip strategy options as well. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, if you are enjoying this show, I would love you to show your support for it by subscribing to the channel, by hitting that like button. And if you fancy dropping a comment with any questions about your chip strategy, let me know and I'll get back to you. Obviously, no FPL this weekend. So I wanted to make sure I was providing a video for you guys that usually watch me on Saturday deadlines or Sunday debriefs. There's still a couple of options here. One man has to be in. He's not been in my team a huge amount this year, and I regret it. Mbeumo is one of the game's best players. Doesn't really matter too much about his fixture. Bournemouth away still feels like I have to have him. Again, all the teams that are on non-free hit will have Mbeumo. He is certainly a template player. It's Mbeumo and Wood that kill my rank every week if they produce, because I don't have them in my actual team. Shame on me. And then in goal, I'm still going to cover the Arsenal defence. And again, I don't have Arsenal defence in my actual team. I don't have Gabriel. I binned him off in game week 20. And since then, I've not had any Arsenal players. I will likely have an Arsenal player. Raya's a cheap route. And I actually fancy him to get a couple of save points. Now, there is no Cole Palmer in this team. You've got to make a decision. Do you go Cole Palmer in a tough fixture, or do you go Foden, Son, Bruno, who are all cheaper in better fixtures? Money's tight because I've got Bruno, Son, Foden, Haaland, even Wood and Cunha, 7-ish plus. And Mbeumo, 8. Like, I've got a lot of all my attackers there. Who's my cheapest attacker? Cunha, and how much is he? So my cheapest attacker that starts is 7 million. So I've spent a ton of money on those 8 spots, or those 7 spots, which means I've got to have a budget bench and I can't get Cole Palmer, which I'm okay with. Let's just hope it's not one of those weeks he goes and scores a hat-trick and everyone actually owns him, because, of course, the non-free hitters will all own Cole Palmer. Let's look at that team then, shall we? I just want to refresh on the bench. It's going to be proper basement. Hill, 3.9. Skulls, 4.0. Adama Traore, 4.6. There's no point in putting good bench players. You need them to be playing in case of an emergency. But I expect my 11, I'm not going to be picking any players that are flagged. Unlikely. My 11 will all play. And then if Adama has to come on, or Wanyeri has to come on, absolutely fine. You have an 8th attacker around 4.5 million. Now, what about the non-free hit? The non-free hit teams. Who will they have from my team? So this is my team. And I've put a padlock on the players that I think the non-free hitters will own. Raya, ignore. This is a padlock on the Arsenal defence, right? I'm not saying if you're not on free hit, you'll own a Raya, but you will own an Arsenal defender because Gabriel's in every team, right? So you'll own an Arsenal defender. You're probably not reaching an 8 Nori or a Forest defender unless you've got one already. And you could move to Gvardiol if you've got Trent. There will be people that sell Trent because they need money. And Trent to Gvardiol might be quite popular, but I don't think it'll be templatey to have Gvardiol. So my defence stands out. Again, not a huge ceiling there for points. Now, Bruno Fernandes could be used as a make-weight for Cole Palmer if those sell him and go, they don't love the fixture, they need the money. Or there will be managers out there, and this blows my mind a little bit. This is why I do not like, for me, having to free hit and not free hit in 29, because if I was going to get Haaland, I'd probably be looking at selling Salah, and I can't do that. So there'll be managers out there that sell Salah to Bruno. I don't love it, but I do think Bruno, one way or another, for Palmer or for Salah, will be used as the cheap alternative. So I think Bruno will be in a lot of teams. Now, remember, the teams that you have in 29 for non-free hitters will probably you'll have in 30 as well, because there'll be a lot of people on wildcard 31. Bruno plays Forest in 31 away. It's not the best fixture. I don't love that move at all. Brian Mbeumo will be in everyone's team, most teams. I don't think Son and Foden will. I think people will see a Man City midfielder as a massive luxury and gamble, and they won't own a Man City midfielder. And same with Son. They just won't go there because it's very punty. Haaland will be in everyone's team because they'll look at captaincy. We'll talk about that in a sec. Cunha and Wood are already very popular. So it'll be one of the two, if not both. And there'll be Isak sellers out there, remember, that go Isak to Haaland. Now, Haaland, I think, will be the obvious captain, which is why everyone will move to him. He is the home fixture, and he is a very good fixture because Brighton always come and play. I know Brighton are good, but Brighton, you can always score against. You can always score, especially if you're a team like Man City. So I think Haaland will be popular. Other popular captain choices, people might punt on Bruno Fernandes versus Leicester. That's fine. He got 17 points against them in the reverse fixture. People could punt on a Cunha or a Wood because the fixtures are there. You're talking about targeting Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich. Well, Bruno Fernandes, Cunha and Wood are the three players you can use to target them. They're the best player for each of those three teams playing those weaker teams. So captaincy will be interesting. I expect everyone that brings in Haaland to captain him. For those that don't bring in Haaland, I don't think you'll be captaining a Marmouche. I don't think. I think you probably then go to your Brunos, Cunhas, Woods. That'll be interesting. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Give me your comments below. Hit that like button and look out for the video on Monday. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.